Hello everyone, talking about Small Favor by Jim Butcher. This is the 10th Dresden File book. And very quickly, this is really good, and I think this is probably my favorite of the 10 I have read so far. I did not realize it until this book. Here's all the previous 9. Wham! There's a stack of them just sitting over here, getting ready to fall off my little table here. So this whole thing up to this point has been what I didn't realize was a really long found family story. Dresden himself lost his parents when he was young. He was raised by 2 other wizards, one of which tried to enthrall him into a mindless follower, and the other one turned out to be someone who was there to kill him in case he got a little uppity. And so found out he couldn't trust him in the long run, although they made up a little bit in the previous book. So here he is with this family of Michael being one of these 3 people who wield these swords with divine power. Each one of them has a nail from the crucifixion within it. One of those Harry owns, but he's not the chosen user of that sword, so he's looking for someone else to wield it. The other 2 are here, one of them being Michael, of course, and they're over at his family. Got a bunch of kids, Molly, who's Harry's apprentice, and of course Charity, who has had big problems with Harry in the past because every time Michael goes on a mission with Harry, he winds up injured and hurt, and this carries on the tradition. So in the beginning of the book, here he is at Michael's family, and it's a snowball fight. So that's the first. I didn't realize it even then that here we go with the found family, but he's having a snowball fight with them. It gets interrupted by these, I guess you could call them goat monsters. There's some old fairy tale about what's called gruffs, and he has a run-in with them. And during this skirmish, Mab comes up, a fairy queen, and Harry owes her 3 favors. He's paid in one of them, so he owes 2 more. I noticed that in the first favor he had to do, she was a little, let's say, nicer about it, but I only say that because in this book she is very aggressive and controlling about it, and she stomps her foot down. So the task is that Marcone, the crime boss, who is now part of the accords between wizards and vampires and fairies, needs to be protected. He gets kidnapped, and who he gets kidnapped by is very dangerous and important. I believe it's pronounced Denarians. These are the fallen angels, who keep their essences in these coins. And Michael's and the other sword wielders, their biggest task is to collect these coins and bury them away so they can't infect hosts, meaning generally people. And one of the hosts is Nicodemus. And if there was ever a character you can model the devil after, it is Nicodemus. He is a fascinating villain. So Marcone has been kidnapped by them, and that is a dreadful thought, that they could force him to accept a coin through torture, drugs, and whatnot. And now this very smart and forward-thinking crime boss could be infected. However, as they go on in their search, well, let me get to that's a little more spoilery. A lot of characters turn up in this. We get obviously here we get Murphy, we get Kincaid, and there is a love triangle of a kind going on there because Harry and Murphy just can't quite get together because she's like, look, I'm busy, so I need something casual, and he's like, well, I'm busy too, and I want something serious, and their time together just doesn't match up. So she's off with Kincaid, who is centuries old and worked for the father of Dracula. I tried to find out if he was a bad guy himself, because Vlad Tepes, the Impaler, obviously was, but I couldn't find much out about his father. Well, Kincaid worked for that guy, so he's centuries old. In this, the archive turns up, and I love this character. She herself lost her parents Her grandmother was an archive being someone who has the sum total knowledge of all humanity in her mind, and this gets passed down person to person, generation to generation. Her grandmother had it. She gets killed in a car crash. It gets passed down to her mother. Her mother didn't want it. She was a young woman and didn't want her future ruined. And so she killed herself and passed it on to the archive. In a previous book, Harry gives her a name. He calls her Ivy. Ivory herself is almost looking for family. And just because Harry was nice to her and named her, she appreciated that. And so, along with that, of course, Michael's there in this group. Thomas kind of running around on the outside. Marcone had it turned out to be a Valkyrie. Thought it was going to be a wizard named Guard, and she's helping protect Marcone's interests. And on it goes. There's how shall I go? So should I just go more spoilery? So this is spoilers without giving every damn thing away. So it turns out, yeah, sure, they could get Marcone, but they wanted the archive. The archive is powerful because it's not just things I know, it's things all wizards know. Everyone who's ever lived on the planet, she knows what they know. Anything written down anywhere, any piece of knowledge, she knows it, and they want that information. And so they wind up getting tricked. Hey, let's have a little peace talk, you and okay, well, we're going to show up armed to the teeth, but we'll have our peace talk. And he double crosses them. The archive has this great scene where Harry's about to be killed, and she's like, oh no, I'm going to defend him. She's 11 years old now. She was 7 when we first met her a few books ago. And she puts on a display of power where she is able to hold off multiple powerful magical beings with very little effort. But she is not omnipotent. There's only so much energy even she has, and she does have just the body of a human being. Still, she just swats them off like nothing. But the plan was to possibly wear her out so they could capture her. And that's what happens. They kidnap the archive. This is a gut-wrenching scene because I'm cheering for the archives. She's a wonderful little character. And she gets captured. So now they want to try to infect her with one of these coins so they become part of the Fallen. So they go off. They find where this is going to be. They find where Marcone is. He's captured as well. The final battle of this is it's a little on the messy side. It doesn't detract from the book much, but it's a little on the messy side simply because it's like, well, there they are. There's the whole group of powerful beings that's left. There's only so many coins. And Harry causes a distraction with a big fireball he uses with a gun to shoot in the sky when there's a bunch of snipers around that were going to shoot him. But this blinds everybody. Okay, let's run over here. Guns are going off. Well, why aren't the other people attacking? They have everything they want, and they overpower everything, so it felt like they could have just swarmed in. And so it becomes something that sometimes a lot of authors do, where I just need a little distraction so I can make this and this happen. It's a little forced. So during the battle, so let's see how to do this in order. So everybody scatters. It is here that Michael again injured, and part of this Harry's fault. A helicopter comes in to rescue. Michael says, you go first because it's a harness that have to be wheeled up. And he says, no, you go first. There was a little prediction made by someone that Michael's time might be coming to an end. So he thought, oh no, you're not staying here, Michael, you're going first. Well, it's while he's being reeled up that boom, 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 gunfire, and he gets ripped to pieces. Messes him all up. And so the helicopter takes off. Harry's trapped there on this island, and he goes to get away. Now, Anyway, so we had the gruffs, the goat people, men, monsters. They had a big brother who showed up, and he talks very Shakespearean, like Thor. I must end thee. Please have honor about it. And he's like, when he turns up, he's like this giant, like bigger than an elephant goat monster. So, in the end of this, when um, he's running from one of the fallen angels, and he hides, and he hears this confrontation between the fallen angel and what he believes to be now the bigger brother of one of these goat monsters. This is so funny because he hears this thump, thump, thump as it's coming closer. So, oh my God, this giant thing's going to get me in here. And he's all of about 5'2". And turns out Harry had what they called a boon. And it was this little gift given by one of the fairies that he used to call in. So this monster, this goat man was going to kill him. And he's very honorable about it. I don't want to do this, but I got to. And he goes, oh, but I got this boon. He goes, oh, so what can I do to fulfill this boon? And so instead of killing him, he has to go off and get Harry a donut. That was his boon. They have a very wonderful conversation. It's really funny, and it's almost like they could be best buddies if they just decided to hang out. So, remember a booktube tag I did a while back, and one of them was, has anything made you cry that you've read? And not of books. It wasn't anything I read that really got me. It was in a webcomic called Order of the Stick, and this guy, he lost his little brother, and he meets his little brother in his own personal heaven. He's like, oh yes, I'll play with you, and he goes to play with him, and it just got me. And so in this, Michael's in the hospital, and his wife Charity lists off all of his injuries, and they are extensive. He may have the big one being brain damage. One of his lungs, his liver, a kidney he lost. He got tore up, and the way they worded it was that even though he had on this armor to protect him, one or two bullets got through in one of the crevices or something and just bounced around inside him and just tore him up. And so we don't know what kind of shape Michael's going to be in. But the family's there, they're in the hospital, they're waiting. They get a good stable condition thing, but Michael might be out of the picture and not be able to carry on without care. And Harry decides, okay, I'm just going to leave. And Charity stops him. She goes, no, family would stay. Oh, it got me. Oh, it got me. It was so good. So it really works sometimes, the way Butcher writes emotional scenes. I mean, he really hits it out of the ballpark. It's so good. So other things are that, so Harry, in the midst of one of the things he brought to bargain with at the final battle was the sword he was supposed to try to find an owner for, and he was going to use it as a bargaining chip. In the midst of this, Harry's in a bit of trouble, and Murphy is there, and something's got a hold of him, and he's got the sword strapped to his back. He's trying to hand it up to her, where she grabs it. Well, when Harry had hold of the sword, it's just a sword. Murphy grabbed it, and it lit up with divine power. And she, whoa, wait a minute. And so it's as worded in here, a job offer to be one of the knights that want to do away with the fallen. And she, at least for now, declines it. She doesn't want anything to do with it. And so maybe Harry has to find out if someone else will wield it. Molly is certainly a possibility. But I don't know. I kind of want Murphy to get the damn sword and just, I don't know about quitting the police force. Do they need the police force still at this point? Because even though from the beginning the police have been what gives Harry a lot of his job, come to this crime scene and help us out, they're not really in this that much anymore, except through Murphy, who's been demoted. And so it would be a good idea if she just decided to take it up. So maybe kind of hoping for a situation where she's like, damn it, and has to grab the thing and go help out, and she just decides to run with it. That would be my preference. In here, Harry gets what is called soul fire, just some new thing all of a sudden he dredged up, and the way it was put together here is to say it doesn't necessarily make him more powerful, but it makes him, I guess, better at what he can already do, if that kind of makes a little bit of sense. It's almost like they don't want to get too carried away with too powerful a being, because they could just come in and walk in. Like the archive, as powerful as she is, if she just decided, I'm going to go fight crime, I'm going to go take care of these fallen angels myself, she could do it. But her purpose as the archive, as the holder of all the information on the planet, is one of safety and neutrality. That's the excuse used. So she has to think of survival and distance, and she's usually used as an arbiter between parties, is what her function seems to be. So to keep her at bay without using too much power, that's what they use here. And so Harry's not going in God mode just yet, if at all. Who knows? But he does this really cool thing. D&D people love it. For whatever reason, he goes to use his magic in a battle, and this spectral silver hand comes up. Well, in Dungeons & Dragons, that's called Bigby's hand spell. It can block things, push things, and smash things, and that's what he used in here to great effect. And I really like that came up. There's quite a few other pop culture references. I think there's one most people will have missed, because sometimes I don't run into a lot of fans of Thomas Covenant the Unbeliever, and that character is a leper, outcast, unclean leper. Well, he uses an exact quote about being a leper in this book. I thought, oh, that's from Thomas Covenant. That was an easy one. So I suppose that I missed some so far. So wait, two, almost forgot. So the archive, the sum total knowledge of humanity. One of the villains from a previous book wanted to invent his own, so he also has his own archive of sorts. But it's pales in comparison to the actual archive, and they thought it was destroyed. But it turns out it was Harry has this little skull, and it is used as a container for this spirit that was this guy's own little archive, and it's called Bob, and he's throughout these. So he's like, but they think it's destroyed, so he doesn't want to give Bob up, so he doesn't say anything to the authorities that he has to answer to. Harry might actually get a girlfriend, because in this, there was the previous book, or was it the one before that? They're blending together a little bit, but one of the captains of the wardens who work for the wizards, she got caught up in a mixture where a villain had switched bodies with her and made her go into the other person's body and killed the other body. Harry had to, because he knew what was going on, and he had to stop her right there. So this lady Lucio, she is in this new young body, and apparently she's taking a liking to Harry. And there's this nice scene where Harry's recovering, and he wakes up and she's tending to a fireplace, but she's obviously doesn't have her clothes on, even though she has a blanket on her. He discovers she's been cleaned up and he has no clothes on, and it was obviously her that did it. And he's like, oh, okay, well, whatever, I'm gonna just go to sleep. And later on, his brother Thomas is like, you idiot. What did you think that was? She was offering. What are you doing? It's like Harry didn't know how to close the deal or something. But later on, they go out to dinner, basically. And Murphy's like, well, I guess I like her, but she's probably not right for you. So he has a burgeoning relationship. Everybody's safe now. There's still a force in the background called the Black Council. That's what they're calling them. Someone in the wizard community could be others all working in the background making all this happen, and they have not been fully revealed just yet. So small favor, very good book. I think my favorite of them all so far. Next up, but not the next thing I'm going to read. So Turncoat number 11. Let's see here. When it comes to the Wizard's Council, Harry Dresden is thought of as either a black sheep or a sacrificial lamb, and no one holds him in more disdain than Morgan, a veteran warden with a grudge against anyone who bends the rules. But now Morgan is in trouble. He's been accused of cold-blooded murder, a crime with only one final punishment. He's on the run, wanting his name cleared, and he needs someone with a knack for backing the underdog. So it's up to Harry to uncover a traitor within the council, keep Morgan under wraps, and avoid coming under scrutiny himself. A single mistake may cost someone his head, like Harry. So Morgan, oh, does he hate Harry. So now he's got to ask him for help. That's good. But I got to put a pause on the Dresden Files, because this, from what I understand, wasn't supposed to come out till next week, but it is out. Last week I bought it, and Absolution, Jeff Vandermeer, 4th book in the Southern Reach, well, no longer a trilogy. It was supposed to be just a trilogy, but apparently he came up with something and wrote a 4th book. I only know of, I didn't look up any other reviews, but I watch Nico's book reviews, and he was kind of lukewarm on it at best, so we'll see what happens. But I have high hopes, and this is the first one I have it. All the other ones are just words for a cover. This one's the first one with an actual image on it that looks like something right out of Area X itself. So that's going to be the next one. Give me a few days, have a video for that one. There you go. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye now.